Welcome. My name is Jeff. This is the Follow Your Feet podcast, where we explore expat life, what it's like to be a stranger in a strange land, so to speak. Today, our guest is Nicole. Welcome, Nicole.
Hello.
So, what can you tell us about where you're from originally, where you grew up? What can you tell us about your native land?
So I grew up in the city named Odessa in Ukraine. It's one of the biggest cities. So yeah, we do have a lot of tourists come in summer. It's popular because we have a sea, a Black Sea. So it's very popular for tourists to come for the sea and everything. And I would consider myself like a city center girl. So, yeah.
And how large of a city is it? Just to give us perspective, because I think probably most of our viewers wouldn't have an idea of how big
I
of a
mean,
city is it.
yeah, I mean, comparing to Prague, it's not that big, of course. But
Okay.
like for Ukraine, it's one of the, I think it should be top 5 biggest cities in Ukraine. But like, I'm embarrassed not to know the actual like size of it.
Okay.
But the population should be around 1 million like a couple of years ago, maybe
Okay.
already like 2 million,
So
something
a
like
little
that.
bit smaller than Prague.
Yeah, it should be. I don't even know the population of Prague,
Prague's
to be
over
honest.
something between 1 million and 1.5 million, I think, something like this.
Okay.
And so it is a port city.
Yeah, it is.
It's on the Black Sea.
Yeah.
So tourists do come there.
Of course, yeah, every
And
summer.
so where are some of the typical tourists? Where are they from? What countries are they coming from to have a seaside holiday in Odessa?
I would say mostly, of course, in general, they're coming from the countryside. So, yeah, from the small villages or just like smaller cities. Of course, someone coming from the capital, from Kiev, because Kiev doesn't have sea. But there's like a lot of points, how to say, in Ukraine where we do have sea, but Odessa, of course, is one of the, I would say, largest, and it's nice that it has a city and a sea. So you can come to holiday for the sea, and also there's a nice city as well. So not only like for sea.
Okay.
But generally they're coming from the countryside, I would say.
Any tourists from outside of Ukraine?
Yeah, I've met some. Of course, when you're like coming on the street, walking around, and of course you can hear the English language. But not a lot of them, I would say. I would say that most of the tourists coming in Odessa from Ukraine, just for the sea. So
Okay.
but of course we do have like tourists from Europe, and just because it's
Some
hard.
neighboring countries as well, perhaps?
For example, like,
I don't know, Bulgaria, Romania.
I've never met anyone.
Russians.
Of course, there were Russians before war, coming to Odessa for the sea, because that's actually I do remember that a lot of Russians will say like, "Oh, we love Odessa because of the sea. We're coming there." So yeah.
And what's the vibe, the feeling of the city? Is it fairly youthful, energetic? Is there nightlife there?
Yeah, so because there is a sea, we do have like a part of the city where there's a lot of nightclubs standing on the beaches. So it's like a big long beach, and there's like nightclubs standing there. So yeah, nightlife, there are like clubs, DJs, everything, and it's a part of the city where a lot of the tourists coming for, because we
Okay.
do have like a lot of
So is it a bit of a party town?
It is. I would say, yeah, it is. But I would say that I did not live my party life there because I moved here already when I was 19. So I went to a couple of parties, of course, when I was 17, but like not that much.
So what was it like growing up there as a local in a tourist town, a bit of a party town? What was it like to grow up there?
So, in terms of growing up, I don't remember anything like until I was 15 or 16. So, I will be telling like after my teenage years. I do, of course, remember my thoughts when I was like in a tram or anything in the summer. And there's a lot of people, a lot of tourists coming and I had a feeling that a bit the same feeling. When you're being an expat and you feel how people around you like thinking about you, like what they say to you. So yeah, when I was a native in like a city, I don't know, can I say that? Like
Like a local.
local, and there were a lot of tourists in the public transport. I was mad because they annoyed me a lot. I was like, why are you coming? And they didn't know where they should where are the stops, like the tram stops.
So would they ask for directions?
Ask for directions. I never understood why you can't like just download the Google Maps on your phone. So I was mad. And the second when I moved here, like after war started, when I was 19, I felt the same thing as them. And I remember I was telling my family, now I feel like the tourist who annoys everyone around because I don't know anything around. I can ask someone, I don't know the language. Yeah, I didn't know at that time. So, yeah, and whenever you understand a lot of things, you can compare. And now, of course, I'm much more patient with the tourists, with people, because I do understand how hard it can be. Because when I was a local, I was like, just download your Google Maps and everything, and that's it. So yeah, but now I of course do understand. Yeah, so it's like.
So now, you know both sides.
Yeah, so that's how it happens in life, I think, with everything.
Well, I had wanted to visit Odessa because actually I have, at least historically in my family, a connection to Odessa. Because my mother's side, they all came from, maybe not Odessa itself, but outside Odessa. My mother's side of the family. However, they were ethnically German. Most people don't know this, but there are or were Black Sea Germans, colonies of Germans that moved there, I think, during the period of Catherine the Great, and lived there for several centuries in their own community, still speaking German, having their own churches and schools. Sort of something unique, but they started to leave the late 1800s, early 1900s. They started to lose some of the special protections they had, and so they started to emigrate. But yeah, all of my mother's side of the family, they came from that region, but ethnically German.
Yeah,
ethnically German, and
they
spoke German. My mother doesn't really speak German, but she understands a lot because her parents and her aunts and uncles, they all spoke German at home.
Yeah.
But they're definitely from that region. So I've always wanted to visit Odessa.
Yeah.
And is it, like, even among the locals, is it kind of an interesting mix of different, I don't know, ethnicities?
Yeah.
Or people from different backgrounds? Because it is, if you'll forgive me, Eastern Europe, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, that's fine.
It is Eastern Europe, so there can be a bit of mix of different nationalities and ethnicities. Is there anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, so Odessa is considered a multicultural city. Even in schools, we learned that Odessa is a very multicultural city. So we do have a lot of nationalities there. So, and that's why, unfortunately, we were talking about this yesterday. Before war, almost everyone was speaking Russian because that is how it is. Yeah, of course, after the war, a lot of people switched to Ukrainian. But yeah, and we have like a lot of nationalities there. I think that like even among my friends in Odessa, I had friends there before war, I didn't know anyone like 100% Ukrainian. So I'm mixed. A lot of people were mixed as well. So yeah, it is considered a very multicultural city. So that's I don't know if it is connected with speaking Russian, but like yeah.
So in the school there, are you taught both Russian and Ukrainian?
And Ukrainian, yeah. By some reason, I don't know why, my parents decided to for me to go to the Russian school. So for all of these subjects to be taught in Russian, but you have, of course, like a separate lesson of Ukrainian language as a separate subject as a Ukrainian literature. But all of them, like maths or anything else, were taught in Russian. So it was considered even a Russian school. So I was going to the Russian school. So a lot of people from Ukraine, like even our colleagues, when I'm saying to them that I was going to Russian school, they are like very surprised that we even had that. But yeah, we did. And in my university as well, a lot of professors were teaching in Russian as well. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I think it's understandable, given the history of the region, why people would still speak Russian. I suppose in Eastern Europe, it's commonly spoken among many of the Eastern nations because it's useful. And the interesting thing, and I can say from my own experience, there were many Ukrainians that lived here even before the war. In fact, I remember reading the statistics about foreigners in Czech Republic, and Ukrainians were number one, even more than Russians, because Russians live here, and even more than Slovaks. And a lot of Slovaks live here because they used to be one nation. But number one is Ukrainians. So Ukrainians have always liked to come here even before the war. It's been a popular destination.
Yeah.
So, so I gather, though, for you personally, though, it was the war.
Yeah, it was only the war. I've never thought that I will be an expat. Never. Of course, I wanted to because, yeah, sometimes I remember being a teenager. Of course, you're like you're looking at your city. You're like, oh, maybe someday I would try moving abroad, being an expat. Of course, like my life goal was to live abroad, like somewhere in France. I don't know, like maybe.
Had you traveled internationally before you moved here?
Yeah, sure. I've traveled a lot, so that's many thanks to my parents. I've traveled a lot before war started. Yeah, but why Prague even? Because we just had an opportunity we just had an apartment for us to live here because it was offered by my grandfather's friend. So that's why we moved to Prague. It wasn't anything specific about Prague. It was just because they could have give us like an apartment.
The apartment was already there.
Yeah.
And vacant. It was empty. No one was living there.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I forgot what was the question.
Well, about the war. I don't know how much you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But about the war and what brought you to Prague.
Yeah, only war. Because I was still in my university. I think when war started, I was on third year, and the fourth year is the last one, so I needed to finish my third year and to study my full fourth year online as well. But I'm very grateful that there was an option to at least to finish online and to study online. Because of the war. Yeah, but generally the only reason was the war. Yeah, just for me to move, for my family to move, and even all of our colleagues as well. I do know that they moved only because of the war. Because I wanted to move somewhere at least when I will be like in my 30s, maybe when I will be 25. I just wanted to finish my university, and after that, just started thinking what I want to do with my life. Yeah, but maybe it was even good for me. You know, there was a good part of it inside of it, because it like moved things quick, more fast. So yeah.
How soon after the war started did your family leave?
Excuse me,
Like how long from the time the war started to you actually leaving and coming to Prague? How long was it?
A couple of weeks.
So it was fairly quickly then.
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't considered quickly because a lot of the people moved like on the first day, on the second day.
Well, yes, a lot of people, especially for foreigners living in Ukraine, they were running, of course, to the train station.
Yeah.
In fact, there's some YouTubers that I follow. Shout out to Bald and Bankrupt, a British guy and his friend Johnny. They made videos of them like literally trying to get out of the country just after.
On the same day.
Right after, basically the next day, getting out of the country by train. So,
Yeah.
but they, of course, are not Ukrainians, but getting out of there pretty quickly. So for your family, it was also a couple weeks and.
Yeah, a
and you
couple
were
of
gone.
weeks, and it was considered quite a long time to move. Yeah, that's a bit weird. It sounds a bit weird, but it is how it is, because everyone was hoping that it will be a couple of days and a couple of, I don't know, maybe a week, and after a week everything will be good, they will stop. So yeah, we were waiting, like patiently, very patiently, we were waiting, and we have a very good relationship with our father, and I have a brother and my mom, and we just could not like understand how we can move somewhere without him, because like a bit about personal life. My father is managing everything in our family, so if we're traveling, he's like
Because you have a family business.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but and moving without him, so, and my mom is always like how to say that, I don't know how to say that. My father is managing everything for my mom, like administrative things, like the documents, everything. My mom is like, she's just existing. She's beautiful. She's beautiful, and
he takes care of most everything.
Yes. So if we like the idea of us moving somewhere, and I am the daughter, and I'm not like my mom. I'm like half father, half mom. So I understood that I will be my father in this trip. And the worst thing, I received my, I don't know the word, I forgot, when you're driving license.
Yes.
I received my driving license a couple of weeks before war started.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
I guess that was lucky timing.
Yes, and we needed to move by car. Who was driving? Me. And I was driving for 3 days, because from Odessa to Prague, it's almost 3 days, and of course I cannot like drive 1,000 of kilometers in one day. We need to stop in the hotel just to rest, because I do remember how my foot was hurting. And after that, we came to Prague.
Which countries did you come through, leaving Ukraine?
I'm afraid
Because
I don't
there's
even
some
remember.
options, because you could, because Slovakia borders Ukraine.
Yeah, but
of course, I think Romania as well.
I think Romania, we definitely were passing Romania, but I feel like I have a real like PTSD with this like whole road and trip.
The road trip is just kind of a blur.
Yeah, I don't remember. So, and when we came to Prague, it was my last time when I was in my car. So from that time, I'm just, because of the trauma I received, I just cannot drive. So I am trying right now to maybe
You haven't driven a car since then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So
Yeah,
it was a little
because
bit traumatizing.
Not a little bit, yeah.
But like nothing bad happened. There wasn't like...
yeah.
Was
No.
there like... It's not like the sense that you were in a war zone. It's just there was urgency to get in the car and drive.
And
to
drive, yeah.
Prague.
Yes. Yeah, it was scary.
And you did it in like 3 days or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it can, well, long road trips tend to be a bit of a blur anyways, but under these circumstances, it's probably even worse, I would imagine. You're just trying to get to where you're going. So what was the feeling once you finally arrived in Prague?
That was awful. We arrived, we were inside of the apartment for the first time with our luggage, and we just, all of us, like all three of us, we started like crying. And I will cry right now.
Okay.
Okay, so because it was very traumatizing, because we couldn't understand where are we, why are we here, where is our father, what is happening, and because of the sounds of sirens and like, I don't know, it's like it's not bombs, like when they were bombing, like the sounds of the explosions. And it was a bit difficult to understand for our brains to understand that right now we are in a safe like place.
But when you were in Odessa, could you hear bombs?
Sure.
dropping?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So explosions, sirens, and that's why. And I would consider myself a very like sensitive person. So this week, I said couple of weeks, but actually it was 6. I lied. It was around 8 days when we left. Like since
so fairly quickly.
Yeah. Like I would say like a week. So even this week traumatized me a lot. Like I don't know, even because we left and I didn't visit Ukraine since we left, since the war started.
And your father initially stayed behind because of the family business. He still had to manage business affairs.
Yeah. So, and I was traumatized a lot. So I still sometimes when I feel like, I don't know, like some kind of explosions, I'm like, what is going on? So, yeah.
What about, because you've been here long enough to know this is something they do in Prague to test. They test the sirens.
Yeah.
As a test, for people who don't know, in Prague, the first Wednesday of every month, at exactly at noon, they sound the sirens everywhere.
Test of sirens.
They test the emergency sirens. I don't know, for like 1 to 2 minutes.
Yeah, like 3. Yeah.
And it was interesting when I was a teacher because usually I'd be in the middle of a lesson, and then I'd have to stop because you could clearly hear the sirens in the streets. But it's just something they do first Wednesday of every month at noon. They do it without fail. They test the sirens here. So what was it? I'm just curious, you've been here for a little bit, your first Wednesday, and you hear the sirens. Was it triggering somehow?
Oh, it was awful as well, because I do remember that for a couple of months, actually, they canceled those sirens because of the Ukrainians coming. Maybe it was only the first month, I don't remember, or maybe like 2 first months after the war started, they canceled the test of sirens, the very first one, to not trigger Ukrainians, a lot of Ukrainians, because we came here. And that was nice, very nice of them. I appreciate that a lot. And the second time, of course, because they need to do that, it was hella triggering, because I don't know, it was my body reaction. It wasn't me, it was my body reaction. I just started crying. So I would say every Wednesday, every first Wednesday of the month for first 6 months, I had this body reaction. I just started crying. Right now I'm good. I have like my heart rate increases when it is right now when I hear them. Even when we're sitting in the office and like when you're like on the call, but it's better now. Of course it's better now because like it's already a couple of years. So.
Well, it's nature. It's a kind of conditioning, like because. For us, the sirens are just a test of the system, but for you, it was actually a warning. And
they're a bit different, so it helps too, because those
the actual sound of the siren is different.
Yes, those are better. I don't know how to even describe it, because the ones that we have in Ukraine, do you know the sirens like of Chernobyl? Like,
no.
like the radioactive sirens, like, and I had, when I was little, for some reason, I was listening to those sirens, and I'm like,
the sirens of Chernobyl.
Like, I'm not like specifically Chernobyl, but when they're like a radioactive something, and those are, and you hear the sirens, so the ones in Ukraine are way worse than those, so depend on that as well.
All right. So you arrive. There's kind of an emotional release just because of all the tension with the war and then having to just get in the car and drive for several days. Once you had a time to sort of calm down and settle in, what were some of your first impressions of the city, of the people, how the locals were, or what your sense, what were your initial impressions?
So a lot of people were very nice when you were talking to them and you were telling them that you're from Ukraine. And I remember I was even like in internet. I was chatting with some Czech people as well, and they were very nice. They all the time they asked if they could like help with something. So yeah, and I remember, of course, we had some kind of a benefits when we moved. It was easier for us to open a bank account. Only, for example, only with your ID, it was possible just to open a bank account. But talking about the positive side, a lot of people were very nice to us. Of course, we had some exceptions with people, but the most terrible part was the centrums to get your visa done. Because you were sitting there for like, I don't know, for like 8 hours you could sit there. I think for just a lot of foreigners and expats here, I think it's the same building.
Yes, I've been to the same, when I did my initial visa applications, it was the same. It was, I mean, now it's easier. They encourage you to make an appointment if you can,
Yes.
but a lot of it was just coming,
Yeah.
taking a number, and waiting. So I think the longest I had to wait, and this was, of course, before the war, so there were less people in the center, but still easily like 4 hours.
Yeah.
I had to wait one time. So I'm used to the same thing, going to these places, sitting on benches, and just waiting for your number to come up on a screen. So it's boring.
Yeah. It is, and when a lot of people are like under the stress and they're like, oh, a lot of people are arguing there, and we had a lot of problems because even like the workers there, because a lot of updates were coming every day. Every day they had some updates. For example, something like our work, because we were asking some questions. Can you please tell us what is the problem? Can we get there? Can we get here? Can we get this document? And they were telling absolutely different things, or they were just telling that they don't know. So it was very hard that time. Like luckily right now they of course improved the system. Right now you're registering, like you book an appointment for yourself like a couple of months in advance. Right now we are waiting for our visa extension once again. So at least I have an appointment for July. But at least it's like a specific time when I'm coming. It will be 5 minutes, and I will just have it, and I will just leave. So it's very nice right now.
Yeah, I think in fairness, the bureaucracy and the paperwork, it's not that bad. I think a lot of European countries, it would be much worse.
Worse, okay.
Yeah. Say, for example, Italy would be like the worst.
Okay.
Like I would once, because I have some Italian heritage, I went to the Italian embassy here in Prague to get an appointment to investigate what I would need to get an Italian passport. And so I went to the reception and I explained in English. The young man was very helpful what I needed. And he says, he's like, I know the person you need to speak to about this, but he's on holiday. Can you come back in September? And it was April.
Oh, God. Such a long holiday.
So,
right? Can I have that?
Like, Italian bureaucracy is the worst.
Yeah.
So, literally anything bureaucratic would take, like, years.
Yeah.
So, I think Czech government and the bureaucracy, it's pretty efficient compared to a lot of, I think, other European countries. So it's not that bad. They can seem to process things fairly quickly. Anything else you want to say about your first impressions about the people or the city itself? Moving
the
around
city
Prague?
itself, because I've never been to Prague before moving here. The city itself is like very beautiful. Of course, we were with my mother because she's a very, she's a person who likes art and everything. So when we were walking around, we were just amazed by the buildings, by the architecture and everything in the city center. Like the old town was just amazing. And of course, it like Prague itself reminds Odessa a bit because if I'm not mistaken, there were like architects who were building Prague and the Odessa, like some of them were like the same. So of course, in Prague, one thing that surprised me, because usually when you're going to any city in the world, city center is very beautiful. It's like of course, it's the heart of the city. All of the tourists come to the city center. You have a beautiful architecture in the city center. But when you're going to like another, part of the city, maybe a bit, like it's a bit more far from the city center, it's completely like different, In Odessa, it's the same. Like city center, of course, looks like an old town, like architecture, everything.
Sure.
Of course, when you're going somewhere else, it's a bit different. It's just the buildings. It's the part of the city where people are just living. There's like, how to say that as well? I forgot. Just the buildings. But the thing that surprised me in Prague, almost like everywhere, of course, I cannot say like Prague 20 or Prague 15 is the same.
Sure.
I don't know even if Prague 15 is there, but Prague 1, Prague 2, Prague 3, Prague 4, okay,
Yeah,
Prague 5 as well. It's
Yeah.
so there. Those old buildings, this architecture is almost everywhere. If you even come to Prague 7, Prague 10, it's everywhere. So that was very surprising, yeah, because I was like, okay, and I was like talking with my family about that wow, that's actually very great that you can go almost anywhere, and it will be very beautiful. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Prague's very fortunate because during the Second World War, it wasn't like heavily bombed like Berlin or Dresden or Munich or even Krakow or Warsaw in Poland. So they were very fortunate. There wasn't too much heavy bombing. And actually, some of the bombing was accidental. Some American pilots thought they were over Dresden and dropped some bombs. So there was some accidental bombing.
Okay.
But yeah, they are very fortunate because there is a lot of original architecture in old buildings that create a very beautiful atmosphere.
Yeah.
What about the Czech language? Because Czech is a Slavic language. It is related to Ukraine and Russian, obviously, Polish, other Slavic languages. What was your impression of the Czech language?
Very first impression was I don't know if I can say that, of course, but like I did not like it how it sounds. Okay, but when after some time I don't know, like I cannot say that I've always loved learning languages, but after some time just hearing that, you just remember some words like those like thank you or hello, and you started talking because of course sometimes in the shops the reaction when you're talking English like hello, can I pay by card, those like very simple phrases in English, the reaction can be different, because
I know.
Yeah, so it's better just to learn a couple of like very simple phrases.
Sure.
And after some time, I just started, like, I was hearing someone, I started understand, like, 10% of the speech. So I did not learn it at that time, but, like, after about, like, 4 months, when I was reading and when I was hearing anyone talking Czech, I started understanding, like, about, like, maybe even 50%. I don't know how. But after some time, when I decided to start looking for a job, and when I started looking for a job, I saw like almost all of the vacancies were only for Czech speakers, only with the Czech language. So yeah, and it was a very hard time because I understood that I don't know the Czech language on that level to find a job with it. So I'm like, okay, so the very first step for me right now is to start learning Czech. And I found a Czech teacher through my friend, and I started learning Czech. We were mostly just talking, and for me, I don't know, I think that like talking just in the like foreign language that you're learning is the best practice. So you just need to talk, and after some time, it will it will sound very natural, and you will improve in a short period of time.
Mhm.
So yeah, I had lessons with her for like, I would say 5 months, exactly till our probation started on the 10th of July. So, and for like 5 months, I already was at B1
Mhm.
of Czech. So I would consider that quite fast, because
B1.
B1, yeah.
B1, so intermediate.
Intermediate, yeah, for like 5 months, I would say that that's not that bad, because of course that's the Slavic group of
Yeah.
languages.
They are related
Yeah,
languages.
you can understand. Of course, no. I mean, when my mother hears Czech, she doesn't understand anything. Yes.
No, not
yeah.
even a few of like the
Like-
common words, because
like
there
the-
are some words that are very similar.
Yeah, like
I
the
think
thank
it's
you
same.
or hello, of course, but if like it will be a very simple one, no, she will not understand. So sometimes I'm like, do you understand? And she's like, no. So yeah, so because I wanted to compare if I'm that good or everyone can understand that. So, and after I started working, and as you know, I found a job without any required check. So, so
Well, we're colleagues, and I
Yeah.
don't. My Czech is not even A2. I probably couldn't pass an A2 exam. So obviously, and we colleagues, we work together. The Czech language was not a requirement for this job because I
Yeah.
certainly don't have even B1.
yeah.
Because I, like many expats from North America or even Western Europe, we start with maybe taking some Czech lessons, which I did, but after a while we usually just give up.
Yeah.
We're like, this is crazy complicated.
Yeah, and I do
just-
understand that. Of course, I think that for you to learn Czech is like for me to start learning, I don't know, like Asian language, like Chinese or Japanese.
Yes, it's something like this.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not with
It's
those
a different language universe. Really.
Yeah,
I
because
mean, they are technically both European languages, but they're pretty damn different.
Yeah, so yeah, because when we learn Czech, we understand the structure of the sentence, like some words are, and it just goes fast and natural. But I do remember even our colleagues, like who are talking a completely different language, for example, like Indian. For them to start learning Czech is the same like for you. And I remember one of our colleagues, because she goes to Czech courses, she said, all of the Ukrainians are learning Czech so fast, I don't
Well,
understand.
yeah, how do they do it? Well,
yeah,
there's
how
a
do they
reason.
do that?
There's
Yeah,
a
so
reason.
yeah, it is.
Can I ask you, so your first experiences here, generally how people treated you were positive.
Mhm.
And I don't want to be negative, but are there any negative experiences as a foreigner? Because certainly I've had negative experiences. I know my expat friends, whether it's in a shop or cafe or a restaurant, you do sometimes have negative encounters as a foreigner living
Sure.
here. Are there any negative experiences that you've had that you're willing to share?
I would say, only 2 situations that I can talk about. Yeah, because if I would say that, like, of course, I already said that mostly all of the experience is overall it's very good. But of course, there are some exceptions. And I had one situation when we just moved here. It was like first 2 weeks of moving here. And I remember we were walking around with my mom, and she asked me to buy her cigarettes in the shop. It was around like Prague 3, I don't know. Like anyway, it's not considered like a city center, but there can be a lot of foreigners.
A
as
lot,
well.
a lot
yeah.
of, if you mean like Vinohrady, a lot of foreigners
Yeah.
live there.
So, and we went to just a like local cigarette shop that you have, and I started talking in English because, of course, like we just moved. It were 2 weeks. I didn't know at all any Czech, and why would I translate it to Czech if I just want to buy like cigarettes, and
Yeah.
it will be 2 minutes. So I asked for the cigarettes for my mom in English. Hello, can I please have those? Blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And the cashier started yelling that if if I'm in Czech Republic, I should speak Czech.
Yeah,
And she
well, I've been there. I've been lectured more than once.
yeah, so she did not. Wait, what? She started yelling that we should speak Czech, that she doesn't understand, and she threw those cigarettes like this at us, and I was like, okay. Yeah, but I mean, of course, I am living right now for more than 2 years. Right now, yeah, I understand that it's my decision to start learning Czech or no, but of course it will be better because I'm living here. I should respect the country, the language or anything. Yeah, but when I was here for 2 weeks, you can be a tourist for 2 weeks. You can be just traveling here. Why would you learn language when traveling,
Yeah. Well, I've had the same experience right in the center where literally thousands of tourists walk past every day, and it's the same thing. You get a lecture from the shop assistant, the cashier, the waitress, telling you should be speaking Czech because you're in Czech Republic. And so they are a bit cranky about that, even though, I think the record they hit for tourists in 1 year was over 10 million visitors in 1 year. That's the population of the country coming to visit Czech Republic. How many of those people are going to be able to speak any Czech? Close to zero.
Yeah.
So from a realistic point of view, of course, you're going to have regular encounters, especially in the center of Prague, where tourists are coming all the time. But somehow it doesn't stop them from getting annoyed and giving tourists lectures about how they should speak Czech in Czech Republic. So it's a pretty common experience.
I wouldn't say that it's something unique or specific about Czechs. I would say that you can, came across those people in any country at all. Yeah.
I know, but it's a bit extreme. But I don't want to dwell on that too much. But
okay, yeah.
It's a common experience. Trust me. It's
So it will be one situation as a common experience for any foreigner or expat here, but the second situation was more like a common experience for Ukrainians specifically.
And what was that?
Because we were just walking around with my boyfriend on the street, talking our language, minding our business, and a woman was passing, and she was passing, and she turned around. She started yelling in Czech language and we understood what she said because we know Czech language. She turned around and she yelled that, "Oh, they're coming here and living for our money, and living on our money, so we are paying for them." And I'm like, okay. What can I say? So of course we didn't answer, but that was very funny that we're working on our jobs, we're paying for the apartment, we don't receive any kind of help at all. So we are paying our own taxes here, of course, the insurance and everything. We're working together, so
yeah.
So, I mean. We do not receive any help. Even my mother and brother, nothing. So, of course you can meet those people. Of
they
course
exist.
They exist. Yeah.
They think every foreigner who's here is somehow getting free stuff, which I don't understand.
How can
especially
I do
for
that?
me, from someone from Canada, they're not giving me anything for free. Yeah. I've worked the whole time. I've had to pay my taxes. I pay into the pension fund. Mm-hmm. So I'm contributing. I was a teacher for 10 years, helping young people learn the English language, which is useful, but they still get cranky about it.
Yeah.
So now that you've been here for a bit of time, do you see yourself staying here? I know it's impossible to predict what's going to happen with the war, but do you see yourself staying here, moving to another country, going back to Ukraine? What's your vision of the future?
Yeah, the thing that you said about it's a very hard thing, that's true, because I never thought that I will move here. So right now I don't understand what to do next, of course, with my life at all, I would say, not even where to live. I would say that for me, personally, very personally, Czech Republic or specifically Prague it's quite good for like everyday life, for the all things that you have here. Like public transport is amazing. You can get anywhere like in 30 minutes you can go already on the end of the city, like by metro. If you live so far, you can be already in time like for your work. And generally for me, everything is quite positive. I don't even know like what to say specifically, but yeah, it's very hard for me to say right now if I will be staying here or I will be moving to another country. I of course would say that just for the experience, I would like to live somewhere else as well, for maybe even just for a couple of months to experience life somewhere in Europe, just different country, maybe like Italy, France, or something, just to understand where to live. But right now, I don't have like a specific destination, or I don't even know if I will be staying here. At the moment, I do like my life here, yeah, and like if speaking about going back to Ukraine. Right now, it's a very hard topic, yeah, because when we moved here, I had my whole life behind me back in Ukraine. Right now, I have my life, like my whole life here. So if I will be coming back to Ukraine, I will need to once again just arrange everything and go back to life there. And I don't even know what to do there because at least I had university, and there I don't even know where to work. What should I maybe learn? So yeah, right now it's very hard because mostly my life is here right now. All of my friends, if I can say that, like even you are my friend because you're my
Yes.
colleague. We meet every day. So yeah, if I will be moving back, it will be like traumatizing once again. So I don't really want to think about that.
Yeah. Well, it's not so easy. I've been here so long. I have a difficult time even imagining what my life in Canada would be like if I went back. Really,
Yeah.
it's been so long. But I've been here for many years now. But and certainly I didn't leave my country because of a situation like war. So even more difficult to imagine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Nicole. Thank you for being our guest and
Thank you.
participating and sharing your experiences of being an expat in Prague. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And to our viewers, if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe and perhaps share the episode through social media. And if you're thinking of being an expat, just follow your feet. They'll know where to take you. Thank you. Bye.
Good. Was it good?
It was good.
Was it at least acceptable?